train, a long lost lullaby. It can never be, and it shall never be, just about a woman when your stomach is involved. Oh yeah, I said, this is more than just a poem, but a call to action for you and me. Thank you.
Breastfeeding creates a strong bond of love between the babies and mothers. Can mean that when a mother is breastfeeding the baby will see the mother lovingly, caringly, so it will create a strong bond of love. Point number 2. Breastfeeding saves time because a mother will not waste time cooking milk. Breast milk is hygienic. Here I mean that the mother will not go and buy those bottles to feed the child. She will not waste soap to wash. Breastfeeding might not cause diseases to babies. Here I mean that when you buy a bottle, you will have to wash it. And then, if there are houseflies, they will go on top of that bottle, so the child will get diseases. Thank you.
Yes. How is society backlash reduced on your side? How is society backlash reduced on your side?
What do you mean?
I mean, how? Okay. How? Mothers not backlashing on the government is reduced on your side.
The government will not provide education for breastfeeding.
In my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, what we have from the second speaker of the affirmative side? 1. She comes here telling us that the government will not be providing education for these mothers. But Penny, take a look at this. If you do not provide this education to these mothers, how do you think that they are going to be able to follow this policy of a mandate of breastfeeding these children, these babies, until 1 year? And also 2, they come here telling us about that this saves time, that this mother will not be having this time to wash, this mother will not be going to buy other things and whatsoever. But Penny, take a look at this. If a mother is feeding for 1 meal a day, that means that mother will not be getting enough nutrients and breast milk to feed this baby in the long run. That means malnutrition will still exist on their side. 2, they also come here and tell us that there is going to be immunity for this baby if they are breastfeeding these mothers for at least 1 year. But Pano, take a look at this. Immunity will not be on their side. 1, we have mothers who have expectation and are vulnerable. We have mothers who have disabilities. We have mothers who have poverty in the long run. So Pano, I would think that is where still have this mandatory policy that they are putting there in the long run will fail in the long run. Okay, back to our team case. 1. Why do we think that a mandatory policy is not going to be better in the long run? 1. This is going to be violating the principle of autonomy for these mothers. But take a look at this. You are going to be applying force for these mothers to follow this policy of a mandate that they should breastfeed these children until 1 year. But take a look at this, how you are going to be violating the principle of autonomy. It is not going to be including that autonomy of the mothers to breastfeed their babies until 1 year. But take a look at this if we do not make it a mandate. This principle of autonomy, which will be better on our side, because 1, we are providing them their choices which they are going to make. But take a look at this. If a mother is vulnerable, how can you expect that mother to feed this baby until 1 year? 2, well, if this mother that is poor, how do you expect this mother to breastfeed this baby for at least 1 year? That's where they also fail. And 2, what is our model on the negative side? 1, we show you this is a flexible and unmandatory and rejected, are flexible, are unmandatory, and health systems in the long run. And how will this happen? One, we are going to be providing education for these mothers who are vulnerable. Two, we are not going to be making it a mandate for them to follow this policy in the long run. That's how we are going to be promoting the principle of autonomy on our side. And two, take a look at this, how a flexible system looks like. If we are not making it mandatory, these mothers will be getting their own choices so that they can feed their babies for at least 1 year and more in the long run. That's how we think that we are promoting the principle of autonomy. And also we do not neglect the benefits on their side which they have about breastfeeding children. The only thing we are neglecting as the negative thing is making it a mandate in the long run. That's why we think that it is better that we should not make it mandatory. With all those fears, I would like to just my case, and I'm proud to oppose this motion. Thank you.
There are two competing parties. One, I will start with these following questions. To the beginning with you. Will mothers only depend on breast milk because they are also soft food for weaning children? Children who have 6 months are weaning. They can give them soft food along with breast milk. Question number 2. You said that they will create violence. How will they create violence if they create education for them? Going on my team's case, breastfeeding is cheap and to manage. This reduces the pressure for mothers to prepare food and money for working their children's needs. Here I mean that mothers will not worry about any money to go and buy milk from the shops, or go and buy those bottles of food. Granted.
Don't you think that mothers still need the money to depend on their basic needs and prevent and reduce poverty in their homes?
The fathers are there to provide their money. Rejected. Point number 2. Breast milk is well equipped with a balanced diet. Here I mean that you will not need to go and buy other additions like sugar. Breast milk can.
This breast milk can actually be always providing while you're drinking it winning.
Winning children, they cannot only depend on breast milk. They have to eat.
Then the breast milk can contain all food very well.
Why am I bringing soft foods? Yes, because if a mother has breastfeeding for like 6 months, a mother, that child has gained all of the nutrients in the breast milk straight back. Breastfeeding mothers would become proud of them, because so many mothers cannot breastfeed because of the chronic diseases. Some chronic diseases can be treated and prevent the child from getting those chronic diseases. Chronic diseases like HIV. If you are a mother and you have a pregnancy, you can go to the hospital or a health center and they give you pills which can prevent HIV from going to the child. With those few remarks, I wish to rest my case.
Well, Team Affirmative and Team Data Side comes and argues in a point of their side improves immunity, increases antibodies, helps children to grow fast, and other advantages. But ladies and gentlemen, our side does not oppose all those advantages of breastfeeding. As Team Negative, we want to oppose on making it mandatory. So all those benefits like improved immunity, increasing antibodies, and help children to grow fast can also be on our side. Ladies and gentlemen, in the pure ask them on how their side is going to be reducing society backlash. The government, let's say the government is going to be providing education, but even if I'm a mother and you're making it mandatory, I might not go for that education that the government is telling that the government is bringing up, because you have forced me, or you have given me a negative motivation. I wanted to breastfeed my child for I wanted to breastfeed my child for 6 months because I'm poor or I'm a single mother. But since you have made it mandatory, I won't allow to go to your programs, be rejected and so wasting my time. I want to go up to our programs, I won't even go for education and other things. Well, why do you think that we win this debate? You don't answer the following questions as team affirmative on why you're going to be making it mandatory. Are you going to be fining people? Are you going to be putting their punishments and other things? But how will you know that a mother has been breastfeeding for more than 1 year, or a mother has been breastfeeding for 2 months or other things? Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I've shown you on how they lose this debate, you don't show us on how you're making it mandatory, and then why you're making it, and why you're making it mandatory. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think you lose this debate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, team affirmative at this point, team affirmative has no case because we have rebutted all the arguments of improved immunity. We have rebutted all the arguments of increasing antibodies. Rebutted all the arguments of helping children to go fast and also creating a strong bond for life. Well, and also why that in affordability and other things that balance that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you on our case and on why our case is going to be better. We're not having society backlash because these people are also going to allow our programs. Even in our first speech, we show how we are going to be having community outreaches, we show how we're going to be having sensitization, and since there is no society backlash, these mothers are going to be like, oh, the government has been good to me, they have left this clear for me, they have not made it mandatory, so let me go for the sensitization. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we are solving the obligation of the motion, which is malnutrition, because, ladies and gentlemen, these mothers are not refusing to go for its immunization programs. But in a particular person who on team affirmative's case, these mothers are not going to go for its immunization programs because they are made it mandatory. So hence, these children are likely going to have malnutrition in the long run. Well, ladies and gentlemen, just think that our model, the winning team should show us on which model is better. Ladies and gentlemen, why our model is better is because we're not making it mandatory. We're leaving it clear for these mothers. These mothers are going for the immunization programs. They're also burning with the government. But in a particular place on team affirmatives work, there's sensitization, children are being malnourished because they're not going for immunization. Why these mothers are not being there because you have created a society backlash. Even if ladies and gentlemen, that's why we think that we read this debate. What is the importance of sensitization? We're going to teach mothers and educate them on how to breastfeed their babies, on why to breastfeed their babies for at least 1 year, on how to breastfeed their babies for at least 1 year. It's going to be better. And since these mothers are not making it mandatory, these mothers are likely going to also accept. Secondly, on community outreaches, they can also reach out to the communities. That's what I'm going to say.
I begin my speech. A team that wins is a team that fights malnutrition in the long run. And why do we think that the negative team wins this debate? One, we show you how our model is better. One, we are told that this will be a flexible health system and mandatory policy in the long run. We show you that we are going to be having something that's community outreach. We show you that we are going to be having sensitization. But and why does that affirmative state lose? One, it does not show us how they are going to make it mandatory. Two, they do not also show us why they are making it a mandate in the long run. That's why we think that our model is still better on our side. And two, why do we think that our model is better? One, we think that these mothers are going to be willingly motivated to breastfeed their children without any force. Because number one, we are respecting their principle of autonomy in the long run, where we are giving them a free choice to make their own decisions in the long run. That's why we think that we are fighting malnutrition in the long run. Two, our mother also respects vulnerable mothers in the long run, because one, we have mothers who have poverty, we have mothers who have disabilities and other things. That's why the affirmative side also loses by not showing us how it's going to be able to care for these vulnerable mothers in the long run. And also three, we also show it how it will going. We also show you how we are going to be promoting cohesion with the government and also these mothers in the long run. That's why we think that backlash still exists from their side in the long run. That's why we think that not making it a mandatory is better in today's debate. I rest my case.
I'm here with your questions. How are you sure it is flexible? Secondly, what percentage are you relying that extent? Are all mothers? How is occasion promoted? The government will, on your question, one of the questions you asked me, the government will cooperate with NGOs to health centers.
Judge, farmers, negatives, and yoga subs at large. We stand in this house today to debate a resolution that states that this house believes that the failure to empower women is the main cause of malnutrition. So now allow me to first identify the key terms in today's resolution. Number one is failure. I'm defining these key terms according to the Oxford Dictionary 10th edition. Failure, lack of success in doing or achieving something. Empower, to give somebody the power or authority to do something. Malnutrition is a poor condition of health caused by lack of food or the right food to eat. So now we speak from a background knowing that mothers, a woman is a mother in a home, and women are the ones who are in charge of the well-being of a family in a home. Then we are here standing as a farmers saying that yes, if the failure of empowerment of women is what is the main cause of malnutrition in the country. Why do we say so? Number one, woman's role in food preparation. We do believe that a woman is the one who prepares the food that is eaten in a home. And if a woman is not preparing healthy food, then we do believe that the people in a home are going to become malnourished. Argument number two, economic empowerment. We do believe that a woman who is self-sustained, or rather has a job, has the capability of taking care of her home. We do believe that actually women are the mothers. Well, if a mother is not breastfeeding a child, or let's say a mother's just come, take an example of a mother coming from the garden. A mother is going to come from the garden and just serve people food with their hands, or rather breastfeed the child with their hands, which is going to lead to malnutrition and other related diseases. And that's why we do believe that the failure of the government to empower women is the main cause of malnutrition. Our argument number three, education and empowerment. We do believe that the solution to these problems is educating the women and empowering them. If we educate a woman that, you know what, as a woman, you're supposed to make sure that you prepare healthy food in a home, you engage healthy talks with your children, you breastfeed your child for at least 2 years. Allowed.
Are you aware that some women don't have time to talk to their children?
Thank you. Well, now that's the problem. Women not having time to talk to their children. We believe it's the responsibility of a mother to talk to their children. If a father, we do believe that in today's Uganda, according to the current status quo, it's a father that does not have the time because he's always working up and down. But it is a mother's responsibility to educate their child and get them in healthy thoughts, telling them that this is the kind of food you're supposed to be eating. Allow.
I hear that some mothers who don't have time to educate their children.
Thank you. Our dear judge, I will not engage in answering the same POI over and over again. As I've already answered the question that was posed to me by one of your speakers, I will not answer the question. Now, back to what I was saying. The solution to this problem of empowerment of women is educating the women upon what they are supposed to do and empowering them. If we can empower the ladies, get the ladies who are in the street to their children and tell them that this is how you're supposed to be taken care of. As what we know, that we have part development model that provides money to women that they can invest and then later pay back and they can provide for their homes. So now, a report by UNICEF tells us that children with uneducated and unemployed mothers have a likely chance to be stunted. So now just look at that report, dear Judge. That's why we do believe, as I conclude, that the failure to empower women is the main cause of malnutrition. With all that, I rest my case. Thank you.
This House believes that the failure to empower women is the main cause of malnutrition. These are the key terms of today's resolution. Failure to empower women, malnutrition, main cause. Failure to empower women. This is lack of giving women power and authority about certain activities. Malnutrition. This is a poor condition of health caused by lack of food or lack of the right type of food. Main cause. This is being the most important cause of something. We are under the House of United Nations Children's Fund. First of all, the first affirmer came telling us about education and empowerment. There are some women who are too arrogant to listen to false advice. They don't want to listen to what you're telling them. You tell a woman that feed yourself on this type of food. She doesn't want to listen to you because she is too busy on her phone and other things. Women's role in food preparation. It's not that these women employ maids in their homes so that they prepare food for them. They don't have time to do all those because these women have office white-collar jobs and they are not interested in filling all those activities that make them that. So these people should not come telling us that women's role in food preparation. These are the reasons why we think that women's empowerment is not the main cause of malnutrition. Poor dietary habits, poverty, men's role against malnutrition, poor dietary habits. These poor dietary habits can be caused by many factors. Not feeding children. Well, our dear judges, we can start. Apparently, malnutrition is.
Do you believe that a mother wishes life for her children?
No, I don't believe so. But mothers are too busy to care for their children. Apparently, malnutrition is increasing, but not due to failure to empower women, but other factors like poverty, poor sanitation, poor dietary habits, men's role against malnutrition. Why do you say poor dietary habits? The women don't know what's the right food to feed their children. And this is the reason why men are taking themselves against taking the authority to provide food for the family and choosing the food for their families. Men's role against malnutrition. The reason why these women are not given power, are not empowered, is because of their lifestyle. These women who like putting nail polish on their nails, of which to go in the food and to put this nail polish in the food of the children, of which to lead to malnutrition and starting growth. These women who dye their hair, the dye will move from the head to the food, of which the food will be contaminated and will lead to malnutrition diseases. So these women should not be empowered. Poverty. If you don't have enough money to buy enough food for your children, you will not be. It's not that if women don't have that money, will they be, even if you empower them, will they get that authority of buying for their children the right food when they don't have the money? No, it's not that. But these women, whether they are empowered or not, some children will remain malnourished. And that's why we say that it's not empowering.
Honorable Speaker, do you believe that we have a parish development model system running around the country?
Parish development model has ended on the rich but not reaching the poor because big people in the government are not providing enough money for this. Poor dietary habits. These women don't know the right knowledge about the food that is being fed to their children. And this people talked about educating them. These women are living in villages. They don't know the right thing about education. They don't care about those things. They think that education leads to death of their children. That's why in early days, women were not taking their children for immunization. So it's the same thing. These women will not take that advice because they'll think that these people will tell them the bad things about feeding their children, and of which that they will think that food will lead to malnutrition. Yet it will be helping them. Poverty. Poverty can lead to malnutrition of children because a father will not go for work, will go for work but will earn less money, of which the children need school fees, they need clothes, they need to pay for rent, and
3, 2, 1. This house believes that the failure to empower women is the main cause of malnutrition. Our dear judge, our first negator comes here and tells us that some mothers are too arrogant to listen to the empowerment that people are telling them. But my dear negator, I would like to ask you, between your child and your arrogance, which do you prefer the most? Between your business and your child, which do you prefer the most? You're talking about women being busy. Should I leave my child because I'm too busy? Then why did you produce the child? Our dear judge, this is not the big issue you should look at here, because I do not think that any mother could leave the child just because of business. She talks about parish development model, that it's reaching the rich, leaving out the poor. But here the president was very clear. He put this parish development model specifically for the poor. He wanted the poor to also come up. So when she talks about that it's reaching out for the rich, then why did the president put it? Then people are disrespecting the president's rules. Our dear judge, allow me to go straight to my views. Number 1, women's role in food preparation. Here we see that women carry a big role of preparing food at home. Then if you don't empower them, how do you expect them to prepare nutritious foods? Do you expect mothers to come and not granted? Do you expect mothers to prepare food that will lead the children to be malnourished if you don't empower them? A report made by UNICEF says that most mothers in the country, I will grant a POI in the coming 30 seconds. A report made by the UNICEF shows that children with uneducated mothers are likely to be stunted. So here, what are you talking about when you say that the failure to empower women is not leading to malnutrition? And yet we are seeing this is a big problem here. Education and empowerment. Women are lacking education on how to feed their children. The government is granted.
You have talked of these women not being busy. Will you carry yourself and what your child without money on an empty stomach?
Our dear negator, I've asked you a question. Your business and your child, whom do you prefer the most? So don't talk about business, because I can't leave out my child just for business. Education and empowerment. Mothers are lacking education about the foods to cook for their children. I'll come from the market, I'll come from the garden, my hands are that I'll just come preparing food because I don't have enough knowledge on it. So I got a solution for this problem. I call upon the government. Let's raise and teach mothers on how, and empower mothers on how they can make their children, they can groom their children in a well-nourished way. So please, our dear negators, I call you to come and join us, solve this problem, so that you can come back to negate this resolution. With all that, our dear judge, allow me to rest the case.
And the child, whom do you prefer most, our dear judges? For we, as the team negators, we prefer business, our dear judges. That's what your answer is. Because your pastor skills and the child, whom we prefer most, as team negators, we prefer the business, our dear judges. Since you prefer the child, we prefer the business. Because you can't go to the child. When the child begs you that, Mom, I want food, then what will you give the child? Would you say that I don't have food? Then the child will miss those food bodies that you're supposed to get the food and give the child, yet you don't have money to buy the child. What is that? This talks of malnutrition. Oh yes, this thing farmers have said that women's role in food preparation. Oh dear judges, what if the mother falls sick? Then who will prepare food if it is the woman's role in food preparation? Back to our case. Allow me give our piece. It is malnutrition. It is not that failure to empower women is the main cause of malnutrition, but it is poor dietary habits, because these mothers, they feed these parents, they feed their children on other foods, on the same food. From January to January, they feed their children on the same food. Which that food? It is not that one food contains all food value, but you know every type of food contains its own food value. So when they feed them from that same food, those children can suffer from that malnutrition.
Protocol observed. This house believes that the failure to empower women is the main cause of malnutrition. Our dear judges, allow me first revert on what the second negator has come and said. That the lack of poverty is the one leading to malnutrition. That it is not the failure to empower women which is leading to malnutrition. Please, for your own information, it is the failure of the women to know the right food to feed their children, which has greatly caused malnutrition in Uganda. You have said that it is the lack of knowledge. That means the team negators don't know what they're mainly talking about. They have come and said that it is the lack of knowledge of the mothers to feed their children is what is leading to malnutrition. That means you don't know what you're talking about. Instead of opposing us, you must come and join our team. The second negate has come and said that we are 1,000 people in Uganda. Are we really 1,000 people in Uganda? And from which source have you got that? Saying that you are 1,000 people in Uganda. That means the team negators don't know what they're mainly talking about. They don't know from which source they have got that. So, our dear judge, allow me to go straight to my views. The first farmer has come and said that women are in charge of food preparation, of which I'm in support of it. As women, granted.
Are we aware that women may not be able to feed their children, but they don't have money to buy?
That's what I'm saying. Women, if at all women don't have the women to buy, then why did they get married? Why did they get their fathers? The fathers are going to provide money so that you can buy. A mother is in charge of the food at home. So, a woman, granted.
According to saying, according to your family, you're saying that it is because that the government is not empowering women. That means that it's not that it's the government that's not making women to work. Then you want to tell us that how will the mothers feed their children yet they're not working?
Oh, thank you. Please, may you use your ears very well, because I never say that in my views. I haven't even uttered out. So, it's the government which must empower the women, but not the government to not empower women. That's why malnutrition is increasing in Uganda. If at all us women don't know the food we're supposed to give our children, if at all the women don't know the right foods required for us, for the children to eat, then there will be stunted growth. Malnutrition will increase. Then how will the population of Uganda be? So, another thing, economic empowerment of women. The women mostly feed the communities. If at all the women are not empowered, how will they feed the community? How will the people be fed? Then how will the children be? If at all the women are not empowered. So, with all that, allow me to rest my case.
One, I just so. The question of today's stats. The question of today's stats that failure to empower women, it leads to malnutrition existing. Other judges, there are some of them saying that women, it's the rule of the women to prepare food. Then other judges, how will the women prepare food yet they are not working? That's why I say that business is more important than children. Than children. Then how will we get food to breastfeed children? Then if we don't work and we don't breastfeed and we don't give children, that means that we'll get two losses at once. Let us work and get food to feed our children. I just that's that economic empowerment. And I say that they should empower women in our communities so that they should feed the community. Then where will they get their money? Hello.
So what you're trying to show us that we should work and leave our children to die?
I'm not meaning that, but I'm meaning that if you don't work and you don't get money to feed your children, you'll get two lessons at once. Instead, just work for one day and get food to provide to your children also for that one day. That's so that educating the women. Let them clarify to us if the government will go on each doorstep telling women that they should go and educate them how to feed their children. So that means that they should educate women. They are not standing this point because the government will not go on each doorstep telling the women that they should breastfeed their mothers. Not granted.
they say that the children are likely to get, they're likely to be stunted. Then what do they mean by getting stunted? Because the woman will go and work for just one day, and then remember that the woman gave the child food at night. The child will stay on that food just for after lunch, and when the woman is working, should get the food and provide it to the child. So that point that says that children will be stunted.
So what are you exactly advocating for? Should we not educate? Should the government not educate women and leave people to die because women are not educated?
Well, how will they educate them? Then they go an extra step saying that you prepare this food to your children. So that means that they will look for another way of controlling malnutrition than educating women.
This program talking about economic empowerment, but this economic empowerment of women can also lead to malnutrition among children. They don't know. Let me explain to them. This economic empowerment will give women power to choose, to make choices of what their children should feed on, of which some women like feeding on recipes, this manufactured foods, of which this is not nutritious. It will not provide enough nutrients to the baby for growth. They ask us to make a choice between business and the child. Of course, we have to choose business because that very business will help our children in providing them with food. Because if you go home and you stay with your child with no money, how will the child feed? Will you provide the child with love just because you don't have money, so the child will just stay and an empty stomach just because you're with people have? No, that question of theirs does not stand anywhere. They talked of women's role in food preparation. Women's role in food preparation. Yes, women are the ones who prepare this food, but they don't know the right food to prepare for their children. And this point of theirs of educating them, it does not stand because the government, they talk of the government educating them.
Thank you, dear judge. I stand before you to give a reply speech. So now I want to visualize in today's debate. Team Negatives comes on board and tells us that, you know what? That on our argument of economic empowerment, that it can actually still lead to malnutrition. They tell us that a woman will have the ability to make choices and make choices of feeding their children on holy chips. That is why our dear judge, we are advocating for empowerment of these women, such that they are educated and they cannot feed on their children on these unhealthy foods. They come here and they tell us that actually, you know what? These women, they get nail polish and dye their hair, and when these things go in the food, they actually poison the food. That is why these women need to be empowered. They ask us, how can we educate these women? Are they trying to tell us that we cannot actually put programs that can educate these women on what they're supposed to do and on how they can take care of their children? That is what we're actually looking at in today's debate. Yes, our dear judge, we agree that there are other reasons that, yes, poverty can lead to malnutrition. But in this particular debate, we're looking at the main cause of malnutrition, which is an empowerment of women. And with all that, allow me to rest my case. Thank you.
They come and tell us that in a situation where a person is cooking food for himself, they get to ensure things like food safety and you get to ensure things like food safety. But how do you get to ensure food safety when you know that one, you are on a rush, you have a job, you are a banker, you need by 6, you need to be on your job. Meaning that in the long run, they don't get to achieve things like food safety because when you are rushing, you are going to at the end of the day cook undercooked meats, leading to things like leading to foodborne diseases, as they tell us and they give examples for us. But number 2, they come here and tell us that look, in a situation where you get to cook food for yourself, you get to use things like fresh ingredients. But look, to get these ingredients you need to get food to ensure that for eating food or the ingredients you need, you as a person, we need that it goes to the pocket size. How much money do you have? Maybe you want carrots. One carrot costs 500. Do you have that money to get that carrot? Maybe you don't have that money. So at the end of the day, you are able to eat fresh ingredients, or even maybe you are going to eat ingredients but not fresh. So we think at the end of the day, we don't get what they come and tell us here as fresh ingredients. But let me go to our side.
You'll not get enough time to cook because you might be a banker and you're running late, so you'll end up cooking undercooked food. But our dear judge, in a home, let me first say this:
A man built a house and a woman built a home. So our dear judge, so in a home, there's not only that woman, and the other family members who can help out, such as the children, and also this one bringing our point of responsibility. Our dear judge, they also came here and mattered about our points of ingredients. They came here and said that you might not have the money, to buy those fresh ingredients, but our dear judge, we see that these food delivery apps are actually more expensive. But you negate that. Let me first ask you a question. Would you rather spend 30,000 a day than spend 500 on a carrot? And they also came here and said that the maids who cook the food for the people are actually untrained. But there's an organization in Uganda that's called Rwenzori. It trains housemaids and ensures that they have good behavior. So that means whatever they're saying in this debate does not hold. And also,
in my speech in 3, 2, 1. Basically, from what we get from side performative A is on the idea of safety of food. They again a perspective that when they prepare food from home, actually where this food is actually of better quality, even then they again a place that they are able to swallow foodborne diseases and many other things. But this is even what we tell you from our first speech, that the reason as to why food delivery apps are actually better on this argument is to show that in the first case of majorities, what these food delivery apps actually have to care about much more of their standards of the food that they are providing to people. But also too, they tell you that even where they think what food delivery apps these diseases could exist, they also tell you that even on a best case that we have trained cooks, even these companies actually have a better quality of equipment that they can use to prepare this food, preventing foodborne diseases. But unlike on their side, is to show that in the first case, well, most of these people that are preparing for food actually are working people. To also case and extend to say that, well, if these people are rushing to work, maybe they have their businesses that they want to do, they will prepare undercooked food, even that food will be of poor quality. So other kinds of diseases could actually exist because number one, people are rushing, that means they are much more likely going to eat on plates that are not washed, leading to diseases that they are talking about as foodborne diseases, which actually exist most of their side. So I don't see how that argument actually stands. But also number two, they talk about things like creative culinary skills and many other things through cooking. This is why then should be taken and marked in today's debate. Number one is that because we have emphasized that saying these people are working people, they do not care about them promoting those culinary skills. What they care about most is looking at their priorities, as salaries, looking at their priorities as job profits, and earning much of their money on that particular note. But also number two, I'm going to show you then what exists on food delivery apps. Number one is on the idea of food hygiene. To say that even with food delivery apps, we are much more actually containing or promoting food hygiene. Why? Because these companies in the first place, they care about the standards of food that they are providing to people, but also to say that these companies actually are well trained, they have well trained chefs, but also number two, to say that even in delivery of this food, these companies actually wrap their foods in things that are clean to prevent things like contamination that could actually exist on their side because people are rushing. But even
I would like to begin by rebutting on what the negators came and told us. They said that they brought us an idea of food hygiene. Then they were saying that when food is cooked at home, that the hygiene might be poor. If I'm cooking for my children, I want to promote on their health. Can I make such a big risk of rushing to cook unhealthy food, whereby I will just be adding more problems? I'm trying to solve a problem whereby I cook for my children nutritious foods, and again I make another problem of making them unhealthy food. Can I make such a big risk? And nowadays, they came and told us that there's a case when someone is sick. So our second affirmative came and said that a man built a home, but you said that a man built a house, but a woman built a home. When you talk of a home, that's a place where there's more than one people. You won't tell me that in a family, you find that only one person. So when you talk of a sick person, you have other relatives who live with you at home, right? But you won't tell me that you're sick and then they fail to send you a relative who will help take care of you. So our dear, that is why we see that cooking at home is more safer, because if I can't trust that delivered food,
mean that definitely I have to trust that homemade food. Because I want to go in the kitchen, cook food myself, and again I cook it thoroughly. First of all, the reasons which I never bought food from those delivery apps is that I wanted to make my own food safe. And first of all, when I'm making that food, I want to be rushing. We have food which can be prepared in less than 2 hours. We have noodles, we have macarons. You want something that are going to rest the whole of 2 hours cooking. Now you want something that are going to rest the whole of 2 hours cooking something whereby you want something. If I know that in the morning that I'm going to be rushing, whereby in the morning I won't take all of that time. Mean that in the morning when I wake up, I cook what I want and then I leave it at home. So our dear judge, our pharmacist came and brought us arguments that safety of food, and our dear judge, I do bring it back. Homemade food is safe. As I had
So, what does the other side present on table? Number one, they tell us that we can't spend all that money paying for ordered food every day. But you must then understand that with food delivery apps, every expenditure is compensated during that time when you are still at work. Maybe you have not gone home to take 2 hours to prepare that meal, and when you're at work, that expenditure will still be compensated. That's what the side fails to understand. But they also tell us of things like there are dishes which do not take less than 2 hours to prepare. They give us an example of macarons. But you must then understand that most of these dishes which don't take more than 2 hours to prepare, most of them are made from oils. Most of them are cooked using oils. We then think that is not good safety. We then think that in the long run, you're also still going to be facing the same problems you're trying to run away from. The other thing they tell us is that these families are made up of many people. But this is what you must then understand. Not all children know how to prepare food. But maybe the husband is at work, maybe the wife is at work, and the children are in school. Will you tell your child to come from school and start preparing the meals? No, that is what they do not understand on their case. But they still tell us that maybe a relative can be sent to your home to prepare the meals. But this is what you must then understand. That not everyone can prepare the quality of food you want. Not everyone knows the quality of food you want. But that then brings back the difference with food delivery apps. With food delivery apps, there is customization. You order for what you want. What you want is what you order for, and that's what you receive. If you say I don't want fish with chili, fish with chili cannot be delivered to you. We then think that the amount of ingredients, the type of ingredients you want, are the ones that are going to be included in your meals. That's what they fail to understand in their case. But also, they tell us that when we bring something like these maids are not going to be trained to prepare the quality of food. They also come here and they tell us that there is someone that is going to be training these maids. But then there comes something they don't understand. What we mean is that maybe you're rushing to go to work and the maid knows if I don't bring food at the right time, maybe my boss is going to fire me. Within such a case, the maid is going to be rushing to prepare the quality of food. Maybe even the utensils to be used are not going to be clean enough. We then think that in such a case, even foodborne diseases are spread. But this is why we think food delivery apps are quite better. We think that number one, they have better equipment. We think that even the people who are preparing this food are well trained. We think that these chefs, I cannot care if I'm owning a restaurant, I care about the quality of food I produce. So I'll make sure I hire a well trained chef who will prepare the quality of food that my customers need. With all that being said, I would like to rest my case. Thank you.
As the pharmacists deserve to win, because first the negatives didn't first stop to first understand this motion. We came and told them one of our arguments as responsibility. Then again they came and told us that not all children know how to cook. Exactly our point. We are trying to create a world where children know how to cook. We are trying to create a world where children are responsible. Then again they came and asked us that not everyone knows the quality of food you want. Exactly. That's why everyone needs to learn how to cook in order to learn how to prepare the good quality food. And let me ask you a question. Would you rather use something more cheaper and is more? Our dear judge, we as the pharmacists believe it is much better to use a method that is much cheaper and lasts for a long time. Unlike the unlike the negatives who come here and talk about us spending money on delivery apps for 300,000 each day. How will you afford those? Those are very costly.
So the resolution is this substance that predatory habits are a bigger threat to youth than drug abuse in Uganda. Other judges in today's resolution have 4 major key terms. First, predatory habits, bigger threat, youth, drug abuse. These predatory habits, this refers to eating patterns that lack essential nutrients or include excessive amounts of unhealthy foods and drinks. And these characteristics of these predatory habits include unbalanced diet, overeating, undereating, skipping meals, excessive consumption of unprocessed foods. Youth, a young person, especially someone transferring from childhood to adulthood, drug abuse. Drug abuse is the use of drugs in a way that is harmful to the body. We are under the management of national medical schools. But before I proceed, the affirmative science have come talking of that these predatory habits are harming the youth, are harming the siblings and the parents. But on the main purpose of today's issue, we want to look about the youth, not other people apart from the youth. We want to emphasize on the youth, not other people. Let us see the siblings alone. Let us see the parents alone. We are emphasizing on the youth. When we start these drugs are a bigger threat to the youth. We look at these drugs leading to madness among the youth. We are looking at these drugs. We look at these drugs that are leading to madness. When we start leading to madness, as you know, if you consume tobacco contains a poisonous chemical called tar. And when this tar goes to your head, your brain will stop reasoning biology. Yes, brain of yours will not be functioning biology. That's why we therefore family stands that drug abuse is a bigger threat to the youth than predatory habits as they claim our dear judges. Second, our dear judges, we also leads to loss of appetite, lung diseases, self-neglect, mental illness, lung cancer, financial distress, depression and anxiety. Other judges, lung diseases, liver diseases are dear judges. We are looking at this drug abuse leading to liver diseases are dear judges. We look at this.
1. With the engagement, this is what we get from side negative. Number 1 is on the idea that these drugs could actually be a bigger threat in a way that they cause possible challenges, maybe like diseases, even on mental health. But I think, let me rebut it its own pace. Number 1, they talk about things like diseases and many other things that exist. But I think it is kind of a lesser threat because number 1, science actually proved that even there is innovation of surgeries that are actually kind of solving this problem, which makes them a lesser threat. But also number 2, identify the fact that even when these diseases exist, youth then go on to seek guidance and counseling on such diseases, how best they can manage their diseases and to solve them, which makes drug abuse actually a lesser threat on that particular note of diseases, even what they tell us. They tell us things like mental health problems or issues. At the end of the day, I think that with drug abuse it is kind of lesser impact on mental health. Why? We have things like rehabilitation, but also number 2, we have things like medical centers, mental health centers on every health center, which actually provide services on how best these youth can actually be or bear with these diseases that could have on mental health, which makes them a lesser threat compared to when we have predatory habits. Number 1 is that on such health centers we do not have such activities that then teach these people how they should not stop skipping meals. But also number 2 is to understand the fact that even on health centers, these people actually do not go to them, to go to families and know what these people, either they are eating close to bed, even in another case. So this actually makes predatory habits a bigger threat to the youth than drug abuse. Also too, let me go to my case. Now, address please. Let me go to my case. Address please. Let me go to my case. Number 1, we look at an idea of complex solution. We tell you that in a case where predatory habits actually are legal or acceptable in society, this actually makes it very hard for us then to find solutions at the end of the day. But also number 2, to identify the fact that at the end of the day, in possible areas like schools, actually administration tend to allow food that is of junk food, than you then finding you with drugs, in your case, bagging them around in your bags. But at the end of the day, we think in the first case of majority, actually predatory habits become a bigger threat. Number 1 is because there are no available solutions. But on drug abuse, is to say, given the fact that it is illegal, well, in the society, it is not acceptable. But also, number two, identify that, well, there are possible punishments that are there, even when drug abuse actually exists in place. Things like broken rules, things like police checkup on drugs, at the end of the day, actually exist. Even if drugs could actually lead to other problems, well, at the end of the day, they are able to be mitigated with the first case, which we tell you. Also, to my case extension, I'm going to show you why then we think on the area of accessibility that, well, poor dietary habits are actually accessible to the youth, even affordable to the youth. Why 65% of the food basket in urban areas is comprised of junk food, which actually is actually accessible to the youth because youth actually involved in things like urban areas. That's why they are mostly found. But also number two, even if it was rural areas, proof then shows that 35% of junk foods in rural areas is the one that is comprised of in the food basket in rural areas. In such particular notes, well, actually, these poor dietary habits are accessible. But with drug abuse, is to say that actually they are not even in the society. But even if they were in the society, they are not acceptable in the society to make them, which makes them actually illegal and operator free. But also number two, identify that poor dietary actually is a habit. To understand that if a habit is in place, well, it is genetical. Also number two is to know that a habit then is hard to recognize. But also number three is to identify the fact that a habit is then hard to identify. This is to say that with poor dietary habits, hence it is in a case where it is a habit, well, it is very it makes it very hard for us to find solutions, which makes them a bigger threat to the youth than drug abuse, as justified our case. Let's submit.
But which among the two is a bigger threat of the youth? We as the team negatives constantly strongly saying that this drug abuse is a bigger threat to the youth than drug abuse in Uganda. The first speaker from the affirmative side talked of poor dietary habits leading to infections and having the body. Our dear judges, we are all aware that's true, our dear judges. But among the two, there is one that kills fast, our dear judges, and that is drug abuse, our dear judges. We are saying that someone who is suffering from malnutrition diseases, our dear judges, that person will at least live for 3 years, our dear judges. And we are saying the person who is suffering from lung cancer, our dear judges, that person will not even live for a month, our dear judges. So this shows that among the two, drug abuse is a bigger threat to the youth than poor dietary habits, our dear judges. They also talk that there are no possible solutions for these poor dietary habits, our dear judges. We are saying that if a person is suffering from obesity, and obesity is a malnutritional disease, our dear judges, there is a possible solution, our dear judges. This person will have fats in the body, our dear judges, and this person will be encouraged to keep practicing physical exercise, our dear judges. This will help to burn the fats inside the person's body, our dear judges. That's a possible solution. Let them come and confide us how they will help someone suffering from lung cancer, our dear judges. How they will help someone suffering from cirrhosis of the liver, our dear judges. When they are sick, they have no drugs, our dear judges. Let them come and confide to us. Our dear judges, we are saying that this drug abuse is leading to mental illness, our dear judges. Why do we say so? When someone excessively takes alcohol, our dear judges, we are saying that this alcohol will enter into someone's digestive system and later be transformed into the bloodstream, our dear judges. And this blood will be transported to the brain, our dear judges. This will cause cerebral malaria, our dear judges, which is resulting into mental illness, our dear judges. Our dear judges, research from the daily newspaper, the daily New Vision newspaper, shows that 70% of the youth in Uganda are suffering from this drug abuse, our dear judges. Other than this poor dietary habits, our dear judges, we as deep negatives say that this drug abuse is leading to madness, our dear judges. We are saying that when someone takes a lot of alcohol, our dear judges, that person will automatically run mad. Let them come and confide to us 7 malnutritional diseases that are causing madness of people, our dear judges. They should not come to lie to us because we don't have even one malnutritional disease, our dear judges. Our dear judges, we are saying that taking of these drugs will lead to lung cancer, our dear judges. We see that when someone takes tobacco, our dear judges, this tobacco smoke contains dangerous gases like nicotine and tar, our dear judges. These gases, when they reach into someone's lungs, they will affect the lungs, our dear judges. Let them come and confide to us. And there's 2 malnutritional diseases that are leading to the lung cancer, our dear judges. Our dear judges, this drug abuse is also leading to financial stress, our dear judges. Why do we say so? Our dear judges, when someone is taking these drugs, our dear judges, and that person goes to school, our dear judges, automatically that person will not start. With this, I rest my case.
3, 2, 1. Panel. What we receive from the other side is that they ask us to clarify 7 malnutritional diseases that are affecting the brain. But we don't think that that is an irrelevant question in today's world. Because number one, we already know that we have malnutritional diseases that cannot be cured. We have a disease like obesity. If you're suffering from a disease like obesity, however many years you spend, you're still going to be feeling that pain. That pain is still going to be inflicted on you. Even they debate something, they come here and they debate something like these diseases are killing faster. But we must then understand that which one is affecting at a higher rate. We think that poor dietary habits are affecting people at a higher rate. We think that poor dietary habits are even causing more diseases. Than these drugs. Why do we think so? Number one, we think that where we take a look at drugs are not accessible to the public. We think that, why do we say that drugs are not accessible to the public? Number one, it's because drugs are illegal. According to the society, drugs are perceived illegal. And because of that, these drugs, if you're found in society taking drugs, number one, it's going to be made sure that you're taken to a rehabilitation center where you're going to receive guiding and counseling. If you have already gotten anything like these diseases, maybe you're going to be taken for surgery, but that's all going to be catered for. We then think that whatever they argue for does not stand. Because they tell us that we have sicknesses like lung cancer. They give us many examples of sicknesses. But we must then understand that this debate is not only about the sicknesses, but it's also about the number of people being accepted. This debate is also about which one is affecting people at a higher rate. We then think that in the long run, whatever they argue for does not stand. They argue for something like we are only debating about the youth in today's debate. But you must then understand that even while we argue about the youth, we are still having other people, siblings to the youth. We are having parents to the youth who are also being affected by this drugs. That's according to the principle of magnitude. We then think that on our side, we actually achieve the principle of magnitude. And yet on their side, the drugs are only limited to the youth. But we then think that it then poses a greater harm to the youth. If number one, the youth are losing their parents due to obesity. If number one, the youth are losing their parents due to such sicknesses. But also, they argue for things like mental illnesses. And we already show you that we have initiatives that are fighting such things. We have surgeries, we have police checks, we have things like immediate expulsion from school in case you're found with these drugs. We then think that in the long run, whatever they argue for, things like mental illnesses do not stand. But then, coming back to my case, proving to you why we think it affects people at a higher rate is number one, because these junk foods are more accessible to the people. We think that something that is more accessible to the people affects people at a higher rate, because people are going to be taking it more often. People are going to be having it in their daily life. But something that is not accessible to the people like drugs is not affecting them at a higher rate. Why? It's not available to them. People are not able to access these drugs. You can't tell me that these drugs are going to be affecting them at a higher rate if they cannot be accessed by those people. I'm so happy that the negative team has no case standing. And with all that being said, I would like to rest my case. Thank you.
First, our dear judges, these people came telling us that they can treat the diseases that we are claiming that are caused due to drug abuse by surgery, our dear judges. For example, dear judges, we know that we have the diseases caused by drug abuse. For example, we have the lung cancer, our dear judges, and they claim bringing that surgery, our dear judges. Should we claim that, our dear judges, that these people should keep getting lung cancer because we have surgery, our dear judges? But we know that, our dear judges, that also this surgery that they are bringing is causing another bigger problem. Then they are moving our lungs in the body, and they are moving what our natural state is. What shall they replace with these lungs? Where shall they remove other lungs to put in the body? If we know as well that you have lung cancer, where shall you remove other lungs to put in the baby so in case you bring surgery? Then our judges, they came bringing points of obesity, but our judges, how can we bring obesity how can we compare obesity to lung cancer? First of all, our judges, we know that obesity is caused due to overeating, our judges. And if I want to stop obesity, our judges, I can make myself eat a little food and control the amount of food, our judges. If I eat a controlled amount of food, I'll be reducing inside of which this is reducing fats in my body, and my body will come back to normal, and I will eat normally as I used to eat, our judges. But we know, our judges, when we have diseases like lung cancer, our judges, there is no way that you will stop, that because you have lung cancer, now you will stop smoking such that lung cancer goes away. No, it is permanent. It does not go away because you have stopped. Then our judges, let these people They let them come and fight us our judges. How does this poor therapist bigger diseases like lung cancer? They bring diseases like malnutrition diseases. Our judges, we know malnutrition diseases. We have like malnutrition like rickets, our judges. But our judges, can you compare rickets and liver diseases like prevalent cirrhosis of the liver? Can you compare rickets with cirrhosis of the liver? No way our judges you can compare this our judges. We know as well our judges that the internal organs are more delicate than the outer organs. If I have my legs like if I have my oxygen legs our judges, this will not be causing a figure three our judges. Also I move normal like another person. I do not feel pain anyway. But as long as just